Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
All right, welcome back to the show, and do we ever have an incredible show lined up for you today. We've got Mr. Brian Cross as our featured guest today. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, TC. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I have been so excited about this interview with you today. So thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to join us on the show today.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me to come on and chat with you and let people know a little bit more about what's going on in my life and the expectations I have for the future.
Well, Brian, you have such an inspirational story, and I just thought it was important that we bring that out and highlight that. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, of your story, and that take us back to that day where your life changed dramatically a few years ago.
Okay. Well, I was at work on June 29th, 1994, and I was planning to go to a concert that night with my friend Barry. So I got off a little early, and we went to the concert, and I went down into the mosh pit because it was what is referred to as hardcore music, and they were slam dancing, and I got on top of the crowd, and the crowd surfed me forward. Then 3 security thugs that weighed 100 pounds more than me each slammed my head down on the ground head first with all of our weight on my head, fracturing my C3, C4 vertebrae into 18 pieces, rendering me paralyzed from the neck down.
Wow.
And, yes, sir.
So this happened in what year?
1994.
1994. And so you've been paralyzed from the neck down since 1994?
Yes, sir, a quadriplegic. They gave me 3 to 5 years tops to live, and on June 29th, it'll be the 22nd year mark. So I think I've overcome a little bit more of their estimation of my lifespan by a few years.
I would say so. Tell me a little bit about after the event occurred, what you went through.
Well, after the event, they rushed me to shock trauma hospital at the University of Maryland, shock trauma hospital in Maryland, and then they had me in there for 2 months where they would lay me on the bed flat on what's called a striker frame, and then they would put straps across me to hold me so I wouldn't fall and hit the ground every 2 hours, and they'd flip the bed upside down. So while I was intubated through the mouth so I couldn't talk, they would leave me hanging there for 2 hours. And the feeling of, what if these straps give away? I can't put my arms out to stop the fall. I'm going to hit that floor was always running through my head. And then I went to Lorien to get weaned from the ventilator, which was a glorified nursing home. And when they had me on a regular mattress, I ended up with what's called a pressure ulcer, the size of a 6-inch plate all the way down to where you could touch the tailbone and the vertebrae above it with your finger. And then once I got from Lorien to rehab, I was in bed for the next 4 weeks because I did plastic surgery to close the wound. And then I proceeded for the next 4 weeks to get trained, well, to have my family trained how to transfer me in and out of their car, in and out of my wheelchair, and vice versa. And now I am, an overcomer. I met Jesus Christ in June of '99, and that has changed my life drastically because I'm a senior in Oral Roberts University, majoring in theology so that I can help 13 and 25-year-old teenagers and young adults to overcome their substance abuse, their criminal actions and fears, as well as their lifestyles. And that's what I've been up to.
How did you, when you were given the news, that I guess when the doctors gave you the news that you were a quadriplegic, what went through your mind at that time?
Well, actually, I was very smart in high school, and, I'm a fairly intelligent man, and I knew that as soon as I heard the vertebrae break in my neck when they slammed me on the ground, and I lost feeling when they picked me up and carried me the length of a football field with my head bouncing around, cutting up the spinal cord. I knew I was paralyzed. So what went through my head was, what am I going to do now? How am I going to live life? Is life going to be over? Is life going to be in prison inside of a 36-inch by 36-inch wheelchair like a jail cell? Or was I going to become an overcomer and do great things? And I chose the latter of the two.
Oh, yes, you did. You absolutely did. As a matter of fact, now your life's purpose is actually, you've written a couple of different books, from my understanding, and you are really passionately going after to help the young people that may have strayed in life, in their life, but also you are also a keynote speaker for corporate America as well to inspire employees, are you not?
Yes, sir. Well, as far as being a keynote speaker, not only for the teenagers and the families, but as far as pertaining to corporate America, by my work ethic that I have displayed in college by waking up at 5 in the morning every day and working till 5 o'clock at night to get my work done so I would not fail, but I would get A's and B's. By my work ethic and my drive, I can teach corporate CEOs how to have their workers to do more work, to be more productive, giving them more job security. When they have more job security, then they'll work harder to make more money for the corporation, and it'll be like a hamster in a wheel because they will be productive and keep cranking out money to the CEO, and the CEO will be cranking it out to them with their paychecks every week, and the company will grow, and so will the employees' salaries and benefits and overall job security and being prosper. They'd prosper financially to take care of their families.
Brian, what have you achieved since that moment when you were paralyzed? Tell me some of the things that you've accomplished since that moment in time.
Okay, what I've done that I did for 10 years, I was a mentor for those individuals who had suffered new spinal cord injuries by either being slammed in a car wreck and having their back broke, or being in a car wreck and having their neck broke, or say getting a blood clot on their spinal cord. And they look through a 5x7 window because that's all they can see. They can't see what I have experienced in my life, which is looking through a bay window, because I've been to Hawaii 3 times. I've flown in a helicopter over top of a live volcano. I've been on the Pearl Harbor Memorial. I'm a motivational speaker that helps teenagers and others to overcome and achieve at a high level. And I have also started college, and like I said, I'm in my senior year. So I've also spoke at high schools to help them to become world changers instead of the status quo or inmate numbers, or at the worst, a statistic.
I had asked you earlier about your pain level, or you had mentioned it to me, that on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're good, 10 being the worst level of pain, every day, where's your pain level at?
It's at between a 10 and a 20. Like right now, as we speak, it's about 12. And it's been like that since July 1st of 1994, every waking moment. And I didn't take any narcotics for the first 15 years because I didn't want to get hooked on narcotics. But then when it became, the pain was so unbearable that I would lose 2 and 3 days without sleep and have a total of 6 to 7 hours per week. That's not per night. That's per week of sleep. That I had to get some help. So the narcotics they gave me, that gives it a bearable sense enough to where the combination of nighttime meds that I take, which is a cocktail of 11 pills, and that's just to knock me out because the pain is so bad. Without that medicine, I wouldn't sleep at all.
What drives you, Brian, to accomplish the things that you've accomplished in spite of all of these circumstances that you face on a daily basis? You find the will, you find the drive to get out here and make a difference in other people's lives. What is it that drives you to do this on a daily basis?
It personally, life's experiences have caused me to have such a drive, because my childhood wasn't the greatest of childhoods. You know, my father was in the Navy, so when he'd come home from the sea after being on a submarine for 10 to 12 months, if we would bother him by interrupting him watching a football game, you know, we would be beaten with inch and a half wide leather belt. And then when I became 18, I got a little rebellious till I was 23. And once I became paralyzed, it was like an epiphany had hit me that I do not want to see anyone to have to suffer the loss of a loved one or to live in my condition, because I had seen enough TV news in the morning that twists my stomach every time I hear of another teenager or young adult being arrested or murdered, and it's got to stop.
What would you say, Brian, what would your message be to somebody listening to the show today and they feel like they can't go on? They've had setbacks in their life. Maybe they're going through just a terrible time in their life, and they can't see any way out. What would you say to them? What would your message be to them today?
There is always a way out. You have to gain a never give up mentality. You have to persevere. Just put yourself in my position. I cannot move at all and have not been able to move at all for 22 years. But I still find the will and drive to succeed and to become a motivation for others. And I believe you have it in you. You have the courage. You have the strength. You just have to seek it within you and find it. And once you find it, you have to use it with all your might to get over the hump. And once you get over the hump, you will be living a high quality life. And there's always things you can do to become more productive for your family's sake. Say you're struggling at work because you're not making enough money to support your family. What I would say is, if I could go to college, how much more could you go to college if you're able-bodied than I could? And how much greater of a grade point average could you achieve being able-bodied than I could? And how much more could you persevere than I could, being completely unable to do anything for myself?
Wow. Brian, how can people reach out and connect with you? What's the best route if they want to contact you, either just to say how much this interview has meant to them or to retain you? Maybe there's somebody who wants to pull you in as a keynote speaker or to speak to their youth group. How can somebody get in contact with you, Brian?
Well, they can either call me at 407-782-6092, or they can reach me via email at disabled, D as in dog, IS, ABLED, uplifting, UPLIFT, unabled, UNABLED as in dog, at gmail.com. They can either call me or send me an email, and I will respond back to them within 24 hours, if not sooner.
What is the phone number again? One more time, Brian.
407-782-6092.
And the email address, one last time?
Disabled, uplifting, unabled, at gmail.com.
Perfect. Hey, Brian, we are out of time on this segment of the show. Let me ask you, can I bring you back at another time for another show?
Anytime, DC. I'm at your beck and call. I'll be more than grateful to come back if it's to help others to overcome some more adversity, or if someone's reached out to you and would like to learn more about how to become an overcomer.
Fantastic. Brian Cross, love having you on the show. Look forward to having you back on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this episode of the show, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.